Hello and welcome to another Otome Review by Trip Starlake. That's me. I am a sea bunny slug and I love all things that involve reading, which is why I love visual novels, particularly of the Otome genre variety. Today I will be reviewing Winter's Wish Spirits of Edo. It is overall chaos free. I don't go into anything that is what I would consider to be in the spoiler territory, but I do give an overview of many of the routes. Like, I don't go into details, but I give a very broad strokes overview. If that's too much of a spoiler for you, I do recommend just going to the end and looking at my final rating. But if you're okay with knowing very, very basic stuff that is not particularly a spoiler in the game, please watch the whole thing. Thank you. Winter's Wish, Spirits of Edo. Woo! This game. So, I wasn't expecting a lot from this game when it first came out, because I tend to not like historical fantasies, or historical tales, I suppose. But what I did realize is that, oh wait, this is like actually a historical fantasy. It's not really historically. I'll talk about it in a second. Due date spirits. Kinda. Winter's Wish. Look at these men. Yeah. Look at these men. So yeah, it's Edo. Yes, it is an Axis game. Axis is like the person. They're like the publisher for Otome games. They get the majority of the titles now, and they know that like we buy them in like mass amounts. All the fans do, because we will spend a lot of money on a special edition if it comes out. They had a huge special edition for Jack Jan, which came out in June. I didn't actually end up buying a special edition because I don't know anything about the game. But if there had been special edition for like a different game that came out, like they're coming out with a really dark one later this year, I probably would buy special edition of that. Anyway, that's me rambling about nothing. Not the game. It's Jacques Jean. Jacques Jean. Jackie Chan dating sim. I'd play it. Winter's Wish Spirits of Edo, or its Japanese name, is Kimi wa Yukima Koinegao. This story tells the tale of Suzuno in this is Suzuno in the first year of Kyoho, like the 1700s, the early 1700s. There are ever-increasing incidents of attacks involving monsters that are called Blightfall in Edo, and the Tokugawa shogunate form a secret force called the Oniwaban, who have the sole job to maintain public order by fighting the Blightfall and keeping the citizens safe. Two members of the Oniwaban visit a small village to find a girl who has the power to see black threads. I think maybe, yeah, here's that girl. Suzuno. She can see these black threads, and ultimately she can see the emotions in the form of threads around people's necks. This girl has been living remotely just outside of her village, because she's seen as a threat to that village. But the two men that approach her tell her that her presence is summoned by the ruler of Japan, Tokugawa Yoshimune. This girl, Suzuno, quickly learns that her powers may be the key in ending the Blightfall attacks once and for all, and the story progresses from there, with Suzuno teaming up with the various members of the Oniwaban and all of the strange vessels. These are all vessels. They're not quite human. They're not quite not human. There's something else entirely. They're a secret third thing. So they have their hearts sealed away as vessels. So will Suzuno end up falling for these dudes? And will they reciprocate even though these dudes don't have hearts? Well, you have to play the game to find out. Yes, the story is very, very loosely based on actual history, like concepts from history that will appear in the story, but they're used as their own special thing within the story. Like Oniwaban really are a secret group of agents created by Tokugawa Yoshimune, but that's about it. That's about where the historical stuff ends. This is much more of a historical fantasy than anything. But yeah, so I guess my initial impressions of it all is You know what? I'm turning you off. You're going away. So anyhow, the art is great. It's really nice. All of the CGs were really pretty and suitable for whatever scene they were in. I didn't feel like any were really awkward or anything like that. They're all good. A tier, S tier, even some of them. The music was catchy and good in a way that was almost comforting sounding, which is like hard to achieve for like music that I'm going to be listening to over and over and over again, but I really liked it. I think some of the themes also reminded me of the Final Fantasy XIV Stormblood themes, and that's partially why I liked it so much. I think it's just because it's both like Japanese folk tale, or what do you call it, folk music themes are both a big theme in Stormblood and Winter's Wish, so I think that's why. The voice actors are all S tier, in my opinion. They all do a really good job with the voices. Anyway, the voice actors, yeah, like I said, they're all great. They do a good job. There are voices from famous voice actors such as Mai no Tomoaki, Namikawa Daisuke, Saito Soma. I really couldn't be happier with the casting choices. They were good. So into the actual game, the common route in this game, it's like the common route you take, and then you like do various choices throughout, and then you get put into like a different route based on your choices. There is only kind of that in this game. The common route is really, really long, and then you choose from a team of 2 you want to head down, which is where the choices start. This isn't necessarily a bad thing for a visual novel, but it kind of felt snoozy at times, and why don't I just explain the teams, since there are 3 teams of 2. I'm not going to get into it too much, but there is Tomonari and Tojo. They work in Samurai Town, where the samurai families and government people and just like rich people live. There is Yoichi and Genjuro in Castletown, where general businesses take place and where like the normal, not rich people live. And there's Kinji and Otaro in the entertainment district, which is exactly what it sounds like. It is an entertainment district. I found Castletown and entertainment district common routes to be fun and engaging, and they actually made me laugh a lot. But the Castletown common route is boring. It is so boring. Though the actual routes of Tojo and Tomonari are like, they don't reflect into the Samurai Town common route. It's like the Samurai Town common route is like its own story, and then you go into a totally different story once you get into like the love interest route for Castletown. So I guess that's a good thing. I'm gonna go through the cast of the love interests in the order that I played their individual routes in, but first I'm gonna talk about Suzuno for a minute. This is Suzuno, your main girl. You play as her. I love her. I want to be her parent. She's such a good girl. She can see other people's emotions, like I said before, but she tries not to let that dictate how she treats other people, and I appreciate that about her. Sometimes she does, but then she's like, no, gotta stop doing that. I can't do that. She grew up alone for the majority of her life because her parents both died when she was pretty young. Because of that, she is a survivalist, and she knows how to identify which plants are poisonous and not poisonous, and she's extremely proud of this fact. She's really honest, and she doesn't waver in her beliefs most of the time, in most of the routes. She usually knows how she feels about things and is very determined to get that done. She's not a Mary Sue, and I love that for her. There are, in certain people's routes, she is extremely active and made me go, you go, girl! in it. And there are others when she takes a step back and the guy has more agency. But she overall has a lot of her own agency in the story. And for me, that's really important in enjoying an Otome visual novel, because I want the main girl to do stuff. I want her to be a factor in her own success. You know, I don't want it to just like fall into her lap. So yeah. Let's talk about the love interests. The first route I played was Kunitaka Tojo. So, like I said earlier, Tojo monitors the samurai town in Edo. He is also one of the 2 men that bring Suzuno to Edo. He is a compassionate guy who runs like an after-school thing, like a after-school curriculum for kids in Samurai Town and to teach them like extra stuff that they wouldn't learn in school. Tojo is he's the character that takes in the mascot character in this game, which is Komame, this little sparrow that immediately takes a liking to Suzuno. This is Komame. But hates Tojo because he nursed Komame back to health, and since it was like a painful process, Komame thinks Tojo is like a messenger of pain or something and hates him. I guess. And so I also think Komame wrote his route. So I think especially as a character in this, just a general character that's going to appear in every route in this game in some capacity, Tojo is great. He's like the big brother. He's always there to support you, dude. Unfortunately, his route seemed to hate him. Like, I think it was actively throwing tomatoes at him. He is dealt a rough hand, route-wise, I will admit, and the writers don't do anything to quite make me believe in the blooming romance between him and Suzuno, and it makes me just feel weirded out with how everyone reacts to Tojo when certain events happen. It's just not a fun time. I feel really bad for him the whole time because Tojo's an extremely kind, compassionate dude. It's just the writing did absolutely no favors at all in his individual route, and I felt disappointed at the end of it. So I'm glad I played his route first. Yeah. Alright, I'm gonna move on to Genjudo. Genjudo is the most typical samurai dude out of all the love interests. He patrols Castletown, and he's seen as being very good at putting people in Castletown at ease. Like, he's good at his job, and he's very good at preventing and stopping the violence as it pops up. He's like an actual samurai. All the characters know how to fight, but he's like the best at it, I guess. Well, that's debatable. Anyway, he's good at it. He's more of the kudere type. Like, he kind of should have glasses on, but he doesn't because it's like the 1700s of Japan. Actually, that's not true. There is a character with glasses on in this game. I don't know. He just doesn't have glasses. But I wouldn't give him the kudere label, like, really. He isn't aloof. He just is really clueless about what's going on, and he doesn't know how to react to it. So he's seen as being aloof and cold, but he's just as confused most of the time, I think, honestly. His route has the most samurai fighting in it, and while I enjoyed the romance blooming between Genjudo and Suzuno, I felt like due to the circumstances of the plot, he wasn't there for quite a bit of it, to the extent where it made Yoichi, his Castletown partner, stand out a bit more to me. But regardless, by the end, I was happy with how things turned out for everyone, and in the end, I ultimately like Genjudo. It's not the most exciting route, but if you like samurai fighting, this will probably work really well for you. I just wanted him to wear glasses, honestly. But we can't all have glasses characters in every Otome game we play. Moving to Yoichi. Yoichi! Yay! Yoichi! So Yoichi works in Castletown, but he doesn't go on patrols. He works in a sake brewery. Like, he keeps tabs on the goings-on in the city that way. He seems lazy, and like he doesn't really do his job and just wants to eat lots of food, which is a mood. But like, he's secretly very responsible. He just does things in his own way. Yoichi is extremely me-coded character. He has reddish hair, he's a tiny bit tsundere, he loves snacks, and he's super honest. It's a quality I really like in characters. I found his route to be paced very well, with good romantic moments that melded well with the overarching plot of his route. I actually found his story to be really interesting, and thought it was great that Yoichi helps Suzuno gain more of her own agency in the plot. I don't want to reveal what it is because it's a little bit of a spoiler, but it's just a little different than everyone else's, and I'm not going to tell you why. But yeah, Yoichi is super cute, and he pulled at all my heartstrings, which isn't something that has happened in an Otome game. I zipped through this route. It was really good. Yoichi's great. His face is like, this bitch. Yeah, he's like, just in this scene in particular, he's like, this bitch doesn't even know how to comb her hair. Fine, I'll comb it for you so you don't have a rat's nest. Dummy. Next, we have Kinji. I played Kinji's route. So, Kinji works in the entertainment district as a kabuki actor. He is the most famous of all the members of the Oniwaban, and as he is well renowned for his acting skills, particularly as he only plays onnagata roles, or the female character roles, and his good looks, like both of those things make him famous and popular. Kinji's a little grumpy. He's more like the tsundere teasing type. I actually don't think Yoichi is all that tsundere, even though I said he's a little tsundere. I think Kinji is like super tsundere, though. His route is intensely entertaining, partially because Suzuno has the most agency in this route. Not that she doesn't in others. She's just like the key person in solving like the mystery that there is to be solved in this route. Kinji comes into the plot at all the right times, making for a very entertaining story to follow. And like Yoichi's, I couldn't stop playing this route. It was so fun. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. This story gets more into teaching you about like geisha and oiran stuff, and I thought that was really neat that they actually went out of their way to teach you just a little bit in this route. It was neat. I liked it. Next one is Tomonari. Tomonari is the newest member of the Oniwaban before Suzuno joins, and is also one of the two men that bring her to Edo. He works in the samurai town, but he mostly just does like patrols there. It's not really important for his route, honestly. He has like a sleepy, gentle personality who doesn't put much effort into other people, like getting to know other people. But this is not the case with Suzuno. He is always like there and talking to Suzuno when you like interact with him, I guess, when he's there in scenes. He's even quite protective of her, and even in other routes when Suzuno has to do something like slightly dangerous, he'll be like, no, she can't do that. So yeah. This route is interesting. So Tomonari is the poster boy for the game, so you probably will go into that thinking that he's going to be like the canon route, and I don't disagree with that. He is it's hard to say. We'll talk about it later, maybe. I don't know. It's hard to say. His route kind of starts slow, just pretty slowly, and then it will just smack you about 20 times with emotional revelations and plot points revolving Suzuno's parents and past and all that stuff. Well, I wouldn't call this route bad. I think it has pacing issues because it's, again, just like smacking you over the head with emotional revelations. But if you care a lot about Suzuno, and by this point, if you're playing the game and you get to Tomonari, because you literally can't play Tomonari's route until you play the previous 4 characters I talked about's routes, I think you'll still find things to enjoy in his route. Yeah, if you like Suzuno, I think you'll still like it. But I also think if you like protective knight types, you'll really like this route, and any of my complaints are invalid because you'll love him. He's not a character type for me. He's a character type for a lot of people, though, and I recognize that. A lot of people are going to like him, I think. He just wasn't... I just don't really like the overprotective knight type guys. I prefer dudes that are going to let the main character fight alongside him, you know? The last character is Otaro. So you're actually not able to play Otaro's route until you play all the other routes in this game, and for a very, very good reason that I shall not reveal to you because it's intense spoilers. Otaro works for the entertainment district as a street barker, essentially. He is sociable and energetic, and he seems quite approachable and fun compared to some of the other Oniwaban. Similar to Tomonari, Otaro is quite open and welcoming to Suzuno as soon as they meet. That is, like, all I can say, or else I get into spoiler land. Personally, I liked the plot in his route. It had a lot of moments where his actions in other routes make a lot more sense. The romantic relationship between Otaro and Suzuno is complicated, but ultimately, because this is not real life, I was fine with what was happening, and I enjoyed it, ultimately. I thought it was a pretty good end to Winter's Wish, because everything comes full circle, all the mysteries are revealed, and yeah. It's good. It was a fun time. I liked it. I just can't talk too much about it because it's super spoiler territory. So yeah, that was the Winter's Wish love interest routes. One thing I want to point out is that Yoichi and Kinji's routes were written by a different person. than who wrote the other 4 routes, and you can tell. Like, they have so much smoother pacing, and has a much more believable romance progression, in my opinion. That's not to say the other routes were bad. They were just better than the other 4. So I can tell you my least favorite character routes, and you probably know who's favorite. But least favorite was Tomonari's, because his character type is just not for me, and some of his actions I didn't personally like, but a lot of people are not going to have any problems with it. Next is Tojo, because he's a great guy, but his route was just literally throwing tomatoes at him and didn't do him any favors to make me like him more than just being like a base decent guy. Third is Genjudo. I don't dislike Genjudo by any means either. His route was just a little bit slower, and like the samurai action stuff is fun, but not my favorite. But I like him as a character a lot. Third is Otaro. Yeah, Otaro for sure. I really, really liked his route. I thought it was really interesting. He's mysterious. That's all I can say. He's mysterious, and I thought it was cool. I enjoyed it. Second is Kinji, because his route had a lot of aspects I super duper liked, with the Oiran and Entertainment District things. His entire role as a kabuki actor was really cool. And him being like a grumpy tsundere was fun for interactions. I really, really enjoyed it. And number 1, unsurprisingly, probably at this point, is Yoichi! Yoichi, yeah! I just really like him. And I'm very excited about it, because I've been playing a lot of Otome games like in these past few months, and I haven't had a character that I just really like. I just like them so much, like, and I can relate to them as like beings. It is weird being someone who plays an Otome game. Like, sure, I like the romance part, but I like it even more when I can relate to the character, the love interest. Like, oh, he's just like me, and then I can do some like reflection on it. I liked it a lot. And again, like I said, his route is a little bit different than everyone else's in a way that I think is very unique and cool. I thought I didn't like historical visual novels, but it turns out I don't mind them if they're historical fantasy. I found this to be a perfectly enjoyable Otome game that I think could be enjoyed by many. I have heard some opinions thinking it's not romantic enough, and well, maybe? But personally, I think intimacy and closeness can be interpreted as being more than just like kissing and stuff. Like, there's a lot more to intimacy than just that. Although all the love interests do get kissing scenes, if that's important to you, don't worry, they got you. On the visual novel database, you can rate visual novels, and their rating system says that like both like a 7 is good and an 8 is very good. So I'd give it like a 7.5. I think it's really fun and it's worth playing. Although I would probably recommend a few other Otome games over this one if it's your first time playing an Otome visual novel. But still, I think if historical fantasy is your jam, I think you're going to like this one. Also, Yoichi is the best. Yep. Those are my final thoughts. Yoichi is the best. And I had a good time with it. I really thought that I wasn't going to like this one very much. And I was extremely pleasantly surprised by it. Yeah. So I'm currently now playing Radiant Tale, which I don't have a photo of here, but yeah, I'll talk about that as well when I'm done with it. Yeah! And that's it. Thank you very much for watching this video on Winter's Wish Spirits of Edo. Like I said, I did really enjoy this game, and I think if you're a fan of Otome games, you'll probably like this game too. Yeah, next up is probably Radiant Tale, I think is the actual name. I don't know. I'm like still in the common round of it as we speak, as of recording on August 20th. So it might be a little bit till I get to the ending of it, or you know, all routes completed. But yeah, so if you liked this video, please give it a like, and if you want to be alerted next time I come out with an Otome review, go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you would like. If not, that's okay. I'm just happy you watched this video today. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening, day, or morning, wherever you are. Bye!